Good morning, kids. Welcome back to your online learning. And today, let's move ahead with our story. And today, we'll be covering the full story. So, like tomorrow, also, we'll be doing the last part of the same lesson, but not the story. Okay, anyway, quickly read the objective. Pause the video for 10 seconds and read the objective. Perfect. Let's move ahead to see what happens further. Bhim was now highly educated, but that didn't make a difference to those who only looked at him as an untouchable. He was determined to do something about this, so he went to London to study law. It would help him bring justice to his people. Now, the author is saying that Bhim became highly educated, but that did not make any difference. जो लोग उनको अनटचेबल समझते थे उनकी जिंदगी में इस बात से कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ा कि भीम ने कितना पढ़ लिख लिया. And then Bhim went to London to study law. Law means बच्चा जो इंडिया या किसी भी कंट्री के लॉज एंड रूल्स होते हैं उन सब की एक पढ़ाई होती है. तो भीम वो पढ़ने के लिए गए ये सोच के कि वो जस्टिस ला सकते हैं, सिर्फ वीकली मैगजीन में लिख के नहीं, एक पर्टिकुलर पोजीशन में पहुंच के. ओके, देयरफॉर ही वेंट टू स्टडी लॉ इन लंदन. When he came back, Bhim continued his fight. In his speeches and writings, he demanded equality for all castes. He now had thousands of followers who called him Baba Sahib with affection. So once Bhim came back, he studied about all the laws and rules and everything. He continued his fight. He used to give speeches and he used to write and he used to demand and ask for equality for all the caste. He used to say कि ऐसे untouchability होना गलत है, हम सब बराबर हैं, हमें बराबर के हक मिलने चाहिए. And by now, Bhim was not alone. As you can see, Bhim is giving speech in the picture and other people are standing and praising him. So basically, Bhim had many followers. People called him Baba Sahib with affection. Okay, जैसे सबको प्यार से कुछ कुछ बुलाते हैं, वैसे ही भीम को क्या बुलाने लग गए थे? बाबा साहेब. Okay. Did Bhim give up or did he continue his fight? When we stand against the wrong, other people also get courage to stand with us. Do you agree? Do you see the same happening with Bhim? So the question says कि जब हम किसी बुराई के खिलाफ खड़े होते हैं, दूसरों को भी हिम्मत मिलती है उस बुराई के खिलाफ खड़े होने की. Do you agree with it? क्या आप इससे agree करते हैं? Did you see same happening with Bhim? क्या भीम के साथ भी same चीज हुई? Okay. Now, after giving speeches and everything, what Bhim did was, one day, Baba Sahib led a peaceful march to the public tank in Mahar near Bombay, from which untouchable people had never been allowed to take water. He knelt down and drank water from it. Thousands followed his example and broke a rule that had been in place for 100 years. So now what happened? One day, भीम लेड अ पीसफुल मार्च. पीसफुल मतलब बच्चा जहाँ पे कोई वायलेंस नहीं है, शांति से आराम से जाना. मैनी पीपल वेंट टू दिस टैंक जहाँ पहले अनटचेबल लोगों का पानी पीना मना था. यू रिमेंबर वी रेड that they didn't used to drink water from the same tank as other caste. So from this tank, other caste used to drink water and untouchables were not allowed. So what Bhim did was, Bhim went and drank water from it. And looking at Bhim, even other people got encouraged and they also followed Bhim. They followed his example and they broke a rule that had been in place for hundred of years. इतने साल पुराना जो ये गंदा रूल था कि अनटचेबल से यहाँ से पानी नहीं पी सकते, they broke this rule. बच्चों, pause the video and read this once by yourself. Violence is not the only solution to fight against the wrong. Bhim showed this to us by leading a peaceful march. Do you agree with this or not? So बच्चे some people what do they think कि किसी गलत के खिलाफ लड़ने के लिए हमें लड़ाई झगड़ा करना पड़ेगा. But here the author is saying कि वायलेंस इकलौता तरीका नहीं है किसी बुराई के खिलाफ लड़ने के लिए. भीम ने हमें ये अपने पीसफुल मार्च से दिखाया. भीम भी चाहते थे वो तोड़ फोड़ कर सकते थे, बट इंस्टेड व्हाट ही चोज टू डू, ही लेड अ पीसफुल मार्च एंड ड्रैंक वाटर फ्रॉम द टैंक. डू यू अग्री विद दिस और नॉट? क्या आप इस बात से सहमत है? नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन इज, thousand followed his examples and broke the rule that had been in place for 100 years. What, according to you, gave courage to these people to come together and fight for the right? Okay, pause the video, write your answers. Great, let's move ahead. By now, Baba Sahib was respected as a brilliant lawyer. He was the first person from his community to hold a PhD degree. When India became independent in 1947, he became the first law minister. Along with other experts, he wrote the laws of the land. And so, the boy who was forced to sit in a corner of his classroom picked up his pen to change the lives of millions in his country. Now what happened? Baba Sahib read a lot and ultimately he became very learned. PhD is bacha the highest degree. Okay. He was the only person from his community जिन्होंने PhD किया. And in 1947, when our country became independent, he became the first law minister. Law minister मतलब बच्चा जो इंडिया के laws, rules, regulations लिखते थे, ठीक है? Some of these people sat together and they wrote the laws for this country. So the author is saying the boy who used to sit in the corner of the class, with whom nobody used to play, who was not allowed to touch the water in the school, he finally picked up his pen to change the lives of millions in this country. बच्चा, it is showing us the power of education. पढ़ाई की इतनी पावर होती है कि बाबा साहिब इतनी पढ़ाई किए कि no matter उनके साथ कितना डिस्क्रिमिनेशन हुआ था, education gave him so much power that he had now the power to change the lives of millions in his country. इंडिया के रूल्स एंड रेगुलेशंस बनाना अब उनके हाथ में आ गया था क्योंकि ही स्टडीड सो वेल. उनके पास नो मैटर वो कैसे बैकग्राउंड से थे, वो गरीब थे, वो अनटचेबल थे, उनके साथ बुरा बर्ताव होता था, पर ही नेवर लेफ्ट स्टडीज. उन्होंने पढ़ाई के लिए अपना डेडिकेशन कभी नहीं छोड़ा. और आज देखिए उनके पास इतना पावर आ गया था कि he was there to change lives of millions in his country. Pause the video, read it yourself. Okay, let's move ahead. Now quickly bacha, you have to imagine that you are living in that time when Baba Sahib became the law minister, and you have to make a list of the things that you would have wanted Bhimrao Ambedkar to put as the laws for India. Okay, बाबा साहिब जब लॉज लिख रहे थे, आपको ऐसी चीजें सोचनी है जो आप चाहते कि वो इंडिया में रूल्स बनाए. जैसे हमारे स्कूल में रूल्स होते हैं, फॉर एग्जाम्पल 1 person विल स्पीक एट अ टाइम एंड यू विल रेज अ साइलेंट हैंड. ऐसे ही जो इंडिया के रूल्स होते हैं, अगर आप उस टाइम पे होते तो आप क्या चाहते बाबा साहिब क्या रूल्स बनाए इंडिया के? थिंग्स यू फील शुड बी आर राइट्स. राइट्स मतलब क्या होता है बच्चा? हक. ठीक है, हक होना. तो आपको पहले सोचना है कि एक इंसान होने के नाते हमारा क्या क्या हक होना चाहिए, और फिर आप सोचिए कि उस पर क्या क्या रूल्स बनने चाहिए. ओके, फॉर एग्जाम्पल I will give you example in our classes perspective. The right of a student is to get education. एक बच्चे का हक है उसे पढ़ाई, उसे education मिलना. So the rule of our school is that the teacher will not be partial and impart education to all the kids. So first you have to see what are the rights of this country, and then you have to see how can we make rules and regulations to save those rights, to preserve those rights. Okay, think very carefully about this बच्चा. You don't just have to write one laws and rules. आप कितने भी लिख सकते हैं, पूरे 20 भी लिख सकते हैं, 100 भी लिख सकते हैं. Okay, write as many as you want. The laws he helped frame make the Constitution of India. Bacha, what is a Constitution of India? So it's a constitution. In our constitution, there are all the rights and rules of our country written. So basically, Baba Sahib and other people sat together to write rules for our country. They made the Constitution of India. Baba Sahib believed that through law he could give everyone in India, including the millions like him who were looked down upon as untouchables, an equal chance in life to eat and play, to study and work. It is a fight that continues even today. So the author is saying Baba Sahib wrote the rules and regulations, and then what he wanted to do is he wanted to give equal chance to everybody. He wanted equality in our country. He asked for equality. सबके बीच में बराबरी होनी चाहिए. And the last line of the story, which author says, is really sad. The author is writing, it is a fight that continues even today. That even after the rules and regulations have been made, this practice of untouchability has not gone forever from this country. This fight is still in this country that continues even today. Okay, बाबा साहब ने शुरू किया, उससे बहुत फर्क पड़ा, पर खत्म नहीं हुआ. I think all of us need to stand against the wrong to fight the bad practices. सिर्फ एक इंसान के खड़े होने से नहीं होगा, हम सबको मिलके खड़ा होना पड़ेगा. Okay, and one day we can hope that this fight of fighting for equality ends, because as all of you only wrote in your answers कि हम सब इंसान ही तो हैं, हम सबको भगवान ने तो बराबर बनाया, then why is this inequality? Okay, perfect. What would have happened if Bhim Rao Ambedkar never asked why, never questioned the ill practice of untouchability? Now the question is कि अगर बाबा साहेब कभी खड़े ही नहीं होते गलत के खिलाफ, तो आपको क्या लगता अभी क्या हुआ होता? After reading the story, what do you think about standing for the right? Does it help only you or even others? You have to write it. What do you think about standing for right? Should we do it? Should we not do it? How good is it? How bad is it? And does it help only you or does it help others? जब हम गलत के खिलाफ खड़े होते हैं तो क्या सिर्फ हमारा फायदा होता है या दूसरों का भी होता है? Write all that you learned from the story. So now basically you have to write kind of moral of the story. Everything you learned from the story, write it in points. Point number 1, point number 2, point 3, 4, 5. Everything you learned from the story. And in the next class I will tell you what I have learned from this story. Okay, bacha? So now this is quote from Dr. Bhim Rao Ambedkar. He said, मैं उस धर्म को पसंद करता हूँ जो स्वतंत्रता, समानता और भाईचारे की भावना सिखाता है. I support that religion that teaches us swatantrata means independence, samanta means equality, और भाईचारा means brotherhood की भावना सिखाता है, जो हमें आज़ाद रहने की आज़ादी देता है, जो हम सबको बराबर समझता है और सब में भाईचारा मतलब ब्रदरहुड होना चाहिए. मैं उस धर्म को मानता हूँ. मुझे तुम हिंदू, मुस्लिम, सिख, ईसाई, पारसी कोई और धर्म का मत समझो. मेरा एक ही धर्म है जो हमें एक आज़ाद, बराबर, भाईचारे वाला इंसान बनाने को प्रेरित करता है. Okay, bacha, these are very powerful lines. You can write this in your notebook also. Make a box and write these lines. I will wait for all the answers on WhatsApp. Happy learning, kids. I will see you in the next class.